What's up, Kansas City? It's Too Cool, and we're back here on Beyond the Block. I have a special guest today, Miss Janay Reliford-Davis, the founder of Camp C.H.O.I.C.E. How are you today?
I'm wonderful, Deb. How are you?
Every day on this side of grass is great. So tell us a little bit about you first.
Okay, born and raised in Kansas City. I'm married to my wonderful husband, Victor Davis. We share 5 children between us. I have a master's degree in social work. Been in the field for going on 18 years. That's pretty much background stuff with me.
Okay. So what inspired you to found Camp C.H.O.I.C.E?
Okay, so that's the story.
Okay.
I lost my mother at a very young age. I was 15 years old. She died in a car accident. I'm the oldest of 4. My grandparents took me and my siblings in when our mom passed away, and I got pregnant right away. Had my son the 9 months to the day my mother died. For me, part of my saving grace was my mother signed me up for a program called Project C.H.O.I.C.E. Like literally months before she passed away. So that afforded me the opportunity to go to college, have a full ride to college. That was through the Kaufman Foundation. So, the journey of getting pregnant, single mom at the age of 16, moving away from my grandparents, I went on public assistance. So 16 years old, living in my own place. I was like a magnet, for kind of people to, kind of feed off of you. So I always had a lot of people around me, and I was very vulnerable. My mother was a young teenage mom. She had me when she was 15 years old, and my dad wasn't a real big part of my life, really, not up until my mother passed away. So, being out there on my own, no mom, no dad, nobody to really give me a covering to prevent me from doing things I wanted to do. So I made a lot of poor choices, and I had a lot of people using me, and I wasn't equipped to protect myself. I really didn't know how to tell people no, and I really didn't have a lot of value for myself. My self-esteem was real low. So in my journey of completing my education, I got my bachelor's degree in social work. And because I was a Project C.H.O.I.C.E. alumni, they afforded us an opportunity to go through this entrepreneurial awareness program. So I had literally just graduated with my bachelor's degree, so I was kind of, because it was an 8-month commitment where we would have to go to class 1 day a week, and they wanted to teach us how to develop a business plan from A to Z. So it was a competition as well. So we had to do the business plan, we had to set up a booth and do an infomercial. So, but I'm always one who has really wanted to go for opportunity. When an opportunity presents itself, I don't want to be on the other end saying, I wish I had of. So I went for the opportunity, and I never thought about being an entrepreneur. That was something that never crossed my mind. But going through the motions of the class, we had to come up with a concept. For me, what was going on in my life at that time was the concept for me, Camp C.H.O.I.C.E. And I really feel like it was a divine inspiration that gave me that whole thing, even down to the acronym of CHOICE, which stands for Children Having Opportunities in Creating an Environment. That means the choices we make create the environment we find ourselves in. And for me, I had a passion to give back to young people that which I feel like I didn't have. I know my mom did the best she could, but she was a single mom raising 4 children and, trying to make ends meet. I didn't get a lot of life lessons at home. Definitely wasn't getting it at school. I wasn't raised in church. So for me, I wanted to help young people understand what they were going to come up against for adult life, when it comes to finances, when it comes to making the proper choices, when it comes to who you surround yourself with. And really one of the key elements to Camp C.H.O.I.C.E. is spirituality. It's about developing a relationship with God, and first of all, you have to have faith. You have to believe there is a God. And for me, all those experiences that I went through being out there on my own, who kept me was God. Christ for me. I know everybody has, different beliefs when it comes to religion, but for me, my saving grace is Christ.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so it's almost like the class just kind of came down and said, Janay, this is what you're supposed to be doing.
Absolutely.
Okay, so tell us a little more about Camp C.H.O.I.C E, some of its past projects. What have you guys been doing out in the community?
So as I said, when I first went through this class, I really was going through the motions of the class. I wasn't thinking I would really start a youth camp. So after the competition was over, I had never worked so hard on anything in my whole entire life, even the years through college. That class and developing that business plan was so difficult because I had so many things against me. I didn't have a computer of my own. I was running back and forth to my grandparents using their computer, which really wasn't functioning well, and it would go down and all my stuff would be lost and I had to start all over. And even the class itself, they actually moved the deadline up for our projects to be due, which really took me personally for a loop. So I never thought about being a business owner, but working so hard through that and then having the product at the end was like, I could do something with this.
Right.
So I actually registered myself as a business in 2006. This was in 2000 when I went through the class.
Okay.
So I registered Camp C.H.O.I.C.E as an S corporation in 2000. I decided to go for profit for reasons of my experiences in working in not-for-profit, being up and down, and companies losing grants, companies shutting down, and which kept causing me to be laid off. So for me, entrepreneurship was like, that's something that I can have control of. My destiny with this camp, and also the ownership of, if I go nonprofit, then it's not mine. It's a public entity run by a board, and really I needed to be in control of Camp C.H.O.I.C.E because I feel like God gave it to me.
Okay.
And it wasn't for a group of people to tell me what to do. I'm listening to what God is telling me to do with this camp.
Right.
So what I do with the young people, I play a game with them, and it's called the Game of Life. When they come to the camp, right now I'm doing weekend camps at 3 Trails Salvation Army Camp, but my ultimate goal is to build a fun park for youth where we'll have camp 8 weeks out of the year, and during off-camp season, the facility will be open to the public to enjoy the amenities. But when they come to the camp, they get a mock profile, and it has a race, an age, an occupation, and an income attached to it. So that income determines which cabin they can afford to stay in. I rent out different levels of lodging that exemplify our different income levels. Okay. Low class, middle class, upper class. So that budget determines which cabin they can afford to stay in that first night. So the next day they go through obstacles that like challenge them as far as physically, working as a team, and I assess points to how they're doing through those obstacles, and they get life cards. Those cards have scenarios on them that could be a bad choice that was made, a good choice, or a circumstance beyond their control, just like in life, that can impact us financially. Okay. So by the end of the day, we tally up where they are to see if they can afford to maintain their lodging, move to upper level lodging, or have to go down to lower level lodging. So it's a lot of fun for the young people, which for me, working in social services and working for a lot of programs and with youth, I would see that, young people and adults, like, nobody really wants to be in a program. Right. And especially kids, they just want to have fun. So I wanted to create a way where they can have fun, but at the same time learn some valuable life lessons. So along with the game that we're playing, I have developed a curriculum for the camp that goes over Earth's beginning, and so we're dialoguing with the youth about creationism versus evolution. I'm a Christian and I share my Christian experience, but this camp is open to all young people from all backgrounds, whether they have faith or they don't have faith. So we're really just exploring their beliefs and their experiences. What have they learned about where the world comes from, and where they come from, and what do they believe? What are their values? What are their morals? And then the next course is race, culture, and family. And we're talking about the differences between race and culture. That it's not about the color of our skin that separates us. It's our cultures. It's different traditions, different beliefs, morals, and values, and customs. That's kind of where people go separate ways.
Right.
But for me, when talking about a creator, we're all the human race.
Right.
So we explore that, and then we talk about family and the importance of creating a family, and not just oops, I'm pregnant, or oops, I got somebody pregnant, because no, there was a choice in that. And a lot of times we don't allow ourselves the time to make a choice. We just go with the flow, or we in the motion, and we don't make choices when we have an opportunity to make a choice. So you want to create a family. You want to really find that right person to have a family with, somebody you know something about, before you end up pregnant or having a kid and you didn't know anything about him, she didn't know anything about you, and now it's a big mess. And we brought children into the mess.
Right.
So yeah, race, culture, and family. And then there's education, careers, and financial stability, where we're talking about the history of education, standardized education, and the importance of it. And we're talking about the difference between a job and a career, and how do you become financially stable. And then the last one, which is really, for me, a heavy hitter, is internal and external involvement. And that's going over what's going on in the world around us, and how are we internalizing that, because that's how we're making our choices.
Very true. Very true. So it sounds like the children get a very well-rounded experience.
They do. And along with that, I bring in a caterer who does all healthy meals. Every meal is demonstrated to the young people. They get a recipe card for all their meals so they can make those meals for themselves. And I also bring in a gentleman to do fun workout with us Saturday and Sunday morning to, help us, show us how we can get our exercise in, but we're just having fun, so it doesn't even feel like we're exercising.
I bet that goes by pretty fast. I can see that now, a big group of kids out there just doing the jig. So when can we expect the next camp?
So next year I'll have a camp sometime between the months of June and September. So my goal is to do 4 camps a year. So that way I can serve all the age groups, because I serve 6 to 17 and I break them up into 4 age groups.
Okay.
So if I could do 4 weekends a year, I would hit all age groups. But so far I've only been able to have 2 weekend camps.
Okay.
And I've been focusing on the 15 to 17-year-old group, because I want to perfect that before I move down to the lower age levels. And it's about raising the money to do the camps, and families being able to afford it, because it's $150 to come to the camp for the weekend, but that includes all the meals, the lodging, and activities. So it's about raising the funds to do the camps, but ultimately I want to do 4 a year.
Okay, well tell the people how they can get in contact with you if they're interested in Camp C.H.O.I.C.E.
There's several ways to hit me up. So my website is www.campchoicekc.com. You can also hit me up on Facebook, facebook.com/Camp C.H.O.I.C.E worldwide. Or you can call me, area code 816-560-0977.
Well, you heard it here, Kansas City. I'd like to thank Miss Janay Davis for coming through and sharing what you do in the community. Check out more Beyond the Block and other videos at whatsupkansascity.net, where we want you to know that learning that's fun lasts forever.
I'm IFBB Bikini Pro Cat Williams, and when I'm not working out in the gym, I'm searching the web on Cascade Media and What's Up Kansas City. So make sure you check them out.